U.S. and Syria's forces celebrating in the streets after successfully recapturing Raqqa from ISIS.
The president calling it a critical breakthrough. Joining us now to discuss the importance of this victory, former Navy SEAL Carl Higbie. Carl, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So the president on the campaign trail campaigned on we're going to destroy ISIS.
Oh, yeah.
Today we have their capital. What did it take to do that?
So, I mean, President Trump has had a remarkable response to this. I mean, he has loosened rules of engagement. He's increased the resources that our troops need to do it. And this is a significant victory because it strikes to the heart of their homeland. On the flip side of that, this is a great tactical victory, but the political victory is far from over because they have started moving west, as we're seeing with, Niger and things like that we'll talk about. This is something we have to keep them on the run. When they're on the run, they're less effective.
Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of questions now when it comes to ISIS. We're not just dealing with them in the Middle East. We're dealing with them in parts of Southeast Asia. We're dealing with them now in Africa.
Right.
And of course, what just happened in Niger. A lot of people are wondering, how did that happen? A lot of folks didn't even know that we had troops over in that part of Africa.
That's why it should be sometimes. Sometimes we shouldn't know where all of our troops are.
So what is going on there? What is their role in that part of the world, and how are we doing in terms of success?
So right now, I'm not going to talk too much about the actual role itself, but we are training troops with foreign international defense. We're training their troops to learn how to combat this on their own. It's a force multiplier. Pete knows a lot about this. We did this over in Iraq, where we go in, we train the local troops in order to do the bidding to keep the terrorists out that will ultimately do us harm and ultimately do the host country's harm. And the thing about this, though, is you have to be very careful about letting out the information because, as Pete knows, when you send in a small group of people, you don't want everybody knowing that you're there because you have less defenses than a forward base like we do in Iraq and Afghanistan right now.
You're right. It's called foreign internal defense, and it's what our troops do when they go into other countries and train the local forces, frankly, so that the U.S. conventional forces don't have to be there.
Saves American lives.
In many ways, it's an extension of kind of an America First policy. Let's train these guys to police themselves. As far as ISIS is concerned, though, going into Raqqa, taking that land, holding it becomes the more difficult part. Are you confident that we can follow through both there and throughout the region?
I think absolutely. President Trump has the leadership and has the desire to do this. He's not, into this politically correct war fighting. He is there to crush the enemy. We've seen it with the Moab. We've seen it with the Tomahawk missiles. He is there to do harm to the enemies of the United States of America, and I really applaud him for that. Now, that said, these people are so geographically fluid, this ISIS force that we're fighting, they're so geographically fluid. They're not bound by uniform. They're not bound by geographical borders. They can go anywhere, and sometimes in the form of refugees, as we've seen. They can do so much that flies under the radar. We need to be still vigilant on this. This fight is far from over, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, on the ideological front, too.
It's so important to get your perspective on that. Also, where can people get your cowboy boots?
Oh, man, this is a Boot Barn. I got them in Colorado.
They're awesome.
Free plug for the Boot Barn.
Love it. All right, thank you, Carl. Good to have you here.
Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.